Hello, I'm Brian Fox. This is my channel, I Hate Rock Music. Today I want to talk about the amazing band Family Fodder. And I totally love this whole explosion that happened in the post-punk era. Of course, in the punk era, we had bands like the Clash and the Buzzcocks and the Sex Pistols and the Damned. And all of them evolved their sounds moving into the early 80s and created a bigger vision of what they were doing originally. But along with that came a whole bunch of bands that were really pushing the boundaries and experimenting even more and bringing all sorts of different elements in, including the pop group turning into Rip, Rig, and Panic. Well, part of the pop group. But Rip, Rig, and Panic are a great example. I did a video on them and bands that just really pushed the boundaries and brought so many elements in. And I just love the kaleidoscopic vision of some of these post-punk bands. And Family Fodder is one of the greatest. And I discovered him because I would buy most of the singles that came out in that era, and I came across a single by Family Fodder called "Playing Golf with My Flesh Crawling," and I was completely blown away. It's like watching a mini movie. There's so many parts, and it's so cinematic, and it has some elements akin to The Residents, for example, and just a wonderful piece of music. In a lot of ways, it's just a consummate work. If the only thing they ever released was that first single, I would still be a huge fan. But I was blessed because they continued for a while at least, and like a lot of these bands, they managed to put out at least a couple records. And so the original band was all built around Oleg Fodder, who is a friend of mine now, by the way. And he was a multi-instrumentalist, composer, producer, guitarist, keyboard, and his ideas just dominated this kaleidoscopic vision of what Family Fodder was all about. And he brought in a lot of really interesting musicians. The original band was Baz Smith, Dominic Levin, who's a French chanteuse singer. She had a lot to do with the original band sound. Uh, Felix Fedorowicz, Graham Panting, Judy Carter, and Alec Potter, and then later some other members like Ian Hill, Martin Fredericks, and Mark Dorfman came in. So the lineup morphed a little bit, and there's guest musicians as well. But they popped out of London in 1979 and playing golf with My Flesh Crawling with the flip side, My Baby Takes Valium, which was a lilting little pop number. Quite a dramatic change from the A side, which is just this grand cinematic, surreal. Um, I don't even know what to call it. A single that is a total masterpiece in its own. But they by 1980 they released their first album, Monkey Banana Kitchen, and it's just wonderful. I don't even know how to describe their music. There's so many elements going in there. There's some pop elements, but really adventurous music. And there's some elements of punk, but there's elements of jazz, there's elements of psychedelia, um, just just wonderful stuff. And they put out a slew of singles around that time. A cover of Blondie's Sunday Girls was released as a 7 and a 12-inch. Two great pop singles, Savoir Faire, and film music, and a non-LP one called Warm. And these were all great little pop ditties, but there was so much going on that was so adventurous in the music. It kind of reminds me of the Beach Boys in a way. On the surface, you get this glossy pop tune with a catchy melody, but underneath there's things going on in the music that are really strange, unique, and evocative. And Family Fodder are the epitome of this. And Dominique's French accent and these semi-amateurish vocals just really added to the whole vision of the band. And so no wonder they cranked out what in a perfect world would be worldwide smashes. And there's a lot of people around today that realize that songs like Savoir Faire are total classics. And so the album did okay. They managed to go out and play some shows, and there was a lot of downtime. They released a couple more records, Dinosaur Sex 12-inch, um, Schizophrenia Party, a single called The Big Dig, and a single called Coral. And then in 1983, they popped up on a major label called Jungle Records and had a double record called All Styles. And I love that record. I love the second record. Unfortunately, the band kind of turns their back on the record. Apparently, they're disappointed with it. But I thought it was great. And the fact that they called it All Styles is very apropos because Monkey Banana Kitchen at least had some kind of unifying sound, but All Styles was all over the map and used all the capabilities of the band and their relatively high level of musicianship and certainly their imagination. And unfortunately, you can't get All Styles on CD, so you have to find the rare, very rare album now. But they ended up doing another album in 1985, pared down their members somewhat, called The Low Yo-Yo, and that's a really excellent record as well. Their sound continually evolves, so by the time you get to the Low Yo-Yo, you can tell it's family fodder, but it has a completely different feel with it. But a lot of the bands of that era that I really like, Rip Rig and Panic is another example of that. They evolved over their three albums, and by the time you get to the third album, in some ways, it has a tenuous relationship to like their first record. And Family Fodder is a great example of that. But I like the variety. I like the imagination. I like the fact that it's all really weird and unique, and wonderful use of rhythms and melody, and not necessarily in-your-face guitar work, which you get from a lot of those bands of the era, including other post-punk bands. Wire came out of the punk movement, and they evolved into the 80s and the post-punk era, and definitely had a whole different flavor than they did on their first couple records. And I love to see that evolution. Sometimes it fails, sometimes it succeeds. As far as Family Fodder is concerned, their exploding vision on the All Styles record apparently wasn't satisfactory to the end. In the end, which is kind of surprising in a way because it is a two-album set. It's a lot of material, and it's hard for me to believe they put that much effort into it. And it's such a great record, and there's so much on it, and there are so many styles that for some reason they consider that a less successful record. But I'd be hard-pressed to describe them if you haven't heard them. I'll put links below, as I always do. If you haven't heard them, check them out. And then there's variations of the band after that, and that continue to this day. So there's the Alec Fodder uses the Family Fodder moniker for all kinds of different varying projects, including a reunion album with their French singer Dominique called Watershed, and it's good stuff. I really enjoy it, but I'm going to concentrate on the original Family Fodder and their existence from 1979 to 1983, and then I include their 1985 album, The Low Yo-Yo, because it qualifies for me as part of the original band, and it really sounds like Family Fodder, and well, it should. But all the stuff they've done since then is well worth hearing. Alec Fodder continues to be a creative force and really interesting music, really unique, and he's created a really wonderful universe all his own. And I guess that's all I have to say. Family Fodder. I think there's also a couple best of collections which are great because they include all the non-LP singles and things like that. So you really can't go wrong getting a couple of the best of CD collections and album collections that are out there now. But their mother lode, their masterpiece is definitely Monkey Banana Kitchen, and just like the title, you're never going to hear anything like it before or since. Totally unique band, and that's what I like. And there's a lot of, like I say, there's a lot of bands of that era that were really pushing the boundaries. Rip Rig and Panic and Family Fodder, and there's a great excitement and freneticism and kaleidoscopic quality to bands of that era, like these bands. And Family Fodder, there is only one. I'm Brian Fox. Thanks for watching I Hate Rock Music.